We sure do appreciate that.
All right, welcome back to Salty Saints. My name is Hayden Holm, and today I have none other than Maddy Packer with me in studio because there is drama, and we're getting into that right now. So first things first, Maddy, there has been drama. Why don't you catch us up? What's going on?
The drama is that the therapist community has felt threatened by my interjection with my own therapeutic advice. And so here we are today discussing me being reported to, I don't even know what DOPL stands for. Do you?
The Department of Public Licensure or something like that.
Something
So
like that.
it's professional licensing, I think is what it is. Yeah. So it
Yes.
handles all professional licensing in the state, from what I understand.
Okay. Yes, I've been reported to this organization for my therapy satire, basically.
Look at that. So a fake therapist and a certified trauma coach walk onto a live stream. It sounds like the
Yeah.
beginning of a joke, but here we are. I've got my certified trauma coach glasses on. This is how you know that I mean trauma. And
That's right.
and so today we're going to be discussing this. Let me pull up the video that got you into such hot water in the first place, because I took a look at it and boy, I was clutching my pearls the entire time. It was
Were you
terrifying.
confused? Did you think, oh my gosh, that is real therapy advice?
That's right. I was concerned. I thought, who's thinking about the children and all of this? So we're going to get into all of that and more right here. So let me pull up the post. And so for those of you who don't know, Maddy Packer runs the Shore Foundation on Instagram, and I think that's where you call home primarily.
Yeah, pretty much. I have
getting onto
TikTok,
other social.
but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So this is the post that triggered so many people. The post heard round the world of the therapeutic community. Let's dig in.
Is cleaning against you, saying you're not going anywhere until this house is spotless. Your parents might have been Mormon, and you might have religious trauma or have been raised in a cult. Hello, I'm a licensed therapist in the state of Utah and an ex-Mormon. Weaponized cleaning is a form of coercive control. Your parent used chores to dictate your time, monitor your behavior, and make your safety in the home contingent on constant labor. Every order, every inspection carried the same implicit message. This home is mine, and you exist in it at my discretion. And because of eternal families, you will never escape it. Your work is inspected and never quite right. New chores suddenly appear the moment you try to leave the house and have your own life. This is really punishment and control dressed up as chores, especially if your parents were Mormon. You may even have been forced to sing songs at a young age
Not the
that
Saturday song.
manipulated you into this behavior. You were not a person with your own life. You were a subject in someone else's house, and the parts of you that wanted something of your own had to quietly die for you to survive it. Healing starts with naming it. It was coercive control that hijacked your young and developing nervous system, brainwashing you into becoming a better, disciplined, and overall more productive member of society. If you can't relax unless the house is spotless, or you feel a flash of rage the moment someone asks you to take out the trash, or feel emotionally triggered when someone says chores, then you need me to indoctrinate you with my own ideological framework based on blaming others for your problems. For $100 an hour, I teach you how to break free from this cycle of religious trauma and cult coercion in my online series, so you can finally live your adult life on your own terms. Comment, "Are you serious?" below for the link.
Okay, so apparently some people did comment, "Are you serious?" And they seriously commented that all the way to the Department of Professional Licensing. Look at that. So yeah, give us some context. I was digging it the whole time. I was triggered. But if I didn't have my traumatic processing toolkit, I don't know if I would have made it through. But
Well,
yeah.
if you want to know the backstory to this script that I wrote, I didn't
Oh, go
actually
for it.
I didn't actually write most of it. I found it from a therapist that had actually posted
What?
this. I'll send it to you. I should have sent it before.
No way.
They're not like an ex-Mormon therapist, but they are a therapist. And I thought it was satire when I read it. And so I saved it. I thought it was hilarious. Then I dug into it and realized this lady was being absolutely serious. She was talking about parents using chores with that exact language to control you and keep you from being like your own person. So that is actually
Wow.
funny. Yeah.
Look at that, man. Okay, so
So
we're
what's
getting
funny is
comments.
a lot. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people got it. Like, obviously, this is ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
Especially the tie-in with Mormonism and the temple, and like, come on. But there were
totally.
actually a lot of people that were like, "Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. I can't believe that you would. I can't believe you'd say that. And I'm Catholic, and my parents did this to me. Does that mean I'm?" And I was like, "You guys, this is a
And you're like,
joke."
that's an extra rate. We're gonna charge extra
Oh
for
my
different
gosh, it
religions. Yeah.
was so great. Yeah.
How fantastic. Wow. Well, and the thing is, it sounds exactly like every other religious influencer out there, like every ex-religious therapist that is out there posting. You captured the tone, you captured the script, obviously.
Yeah, the
But the
language.
delivery, the language, it was all there. So I'm sure there were some people that were about to just go and start supporting you and saying, yes, this is me.
Yeah.
So relatable.
Uh,
And then they pop it open. They're like, wait a second. I think she might be kidding.
yeah.
Oh, and it looks like someone here didn't catch on until the very end. So
I
so let's get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some wonderful woman who I don't even know her name, but she
Mhm.
was like, "Are you impersonating a licensed therapist? Oh, get ready. I am reporting you to DOPL." Like, oh,
Not
okay.
Doppel.
Yeah. And everyone's like, "Lady, this is satire." And she's like, "It doesn't matter. I don't appreciate the mocking, and Doppel will not appreciate this either when I file my complaint." And she just doubled
Wow.
down. And I said, "Yes, please report me. That would be awesome. Like, awesome."
Yeah. Put
Uh,
that on the LinkedIn profile. Yeah.
Anyway, she just kept going. She's like, "Okay, complaint filed. I spoke to someone and they said that this was serious. They said this was a good thing. They said this is a good thing that you reported this because this is serious."
Okay.
Okay, I'll take my
So did she
chances.
report to her husband then? Is that
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting. She's like, "You know what? You're going to get sued." And I was like, "Okay, yep,
All
I'm
right.
waiting for the lawsuit."
Bring it on. Yeah. How funny is that? So the thing is, now there's a serious piece in this. So the serious piece in all of this is the reason why they even had a problem with this is because you're coming after the religion that they have now created, the man-made created religion of what is it? Therapeutic deism, right? Is
Yes.
that's the new term. And so in their eyes, this is almost as if you are impersonating a police officer to them,
Yeah, it's
someone
like
of substantial
sacrilegious.
authority. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh heavens, she impersonated a therapist. How dare
Oh,
she? Yeah.
yeah.
And so the other question I have to ask, if you were a gambling woman, how much money would you bet that this is a burner account for Dr. Julie Hanks or Dr. John DeLynn?
Oh my gosh, that would actually be genius. I
Right?
don't know though.
Yeah.
She was very she thought she was a warrior for Christ. I don't know if you read the rest of her comments, but she was like,
Oh,
"I don't care what you people think of me. I only serve God and I only care what he thinks." And Christ spoke boldly, and that's what I'm doing to this fool, she said to me. So
wow.
yeah, so I don't know. Unless John DeLynn wants to role play a little in that Christianity, I don't know.
I could see it. I could see it.
Yeah,
Wow.
she doubled down with her Christian ethics apparently and her anti-Mormon ethics at the
No, I
same
get
time.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now the funny part is that we are so far past parody in this. I just want people to appreciate how thick this parody pie is right now. So we've got the top crust of therapists that are supposed to be ethically bound to be neutral, no religion, no bias. They're not supposed to influence their clients' views or belief systems or anything like that. So you have anti-religious therapists that are spewing that online, and so they're already breaking that ethical boundary. And then you have someone coming in here and creating a parody of somebody who is breaking an ethical boundary. And the person who is reporting said offender is reporting the satirist instead of the actual therapist who's doing the harm. Do we see how crazy that is? I'm almost reached China with how deep I had to dig on that one. Like, that's wild.
Yes, it's insane that we've gotten to this point. And what's crazy is how many people can't just take the humor in it, because it's like you're talking about, we're not like attacking someone's character. This is a made up therapist that I'm pretending to be.
Right.
We're not talking about anyone specifically. We're not making fun of anyone's religion. We're not making fun of anyone's political ideology. It's literally just what is going on in therapy, and people are offended. Like, it's like it is.
You're not
their
allowed
religion.
to ask questions.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. No, and you are in such good company as someone else. I believe probably the only other influencer in the LDS space who has impersonated a therapist. A certified trauma coach, but I am certified. I did get certified at this.
You do have some qualifications.
Look at that. So Dr. John DeLitt and I are on the same page when it comes to our certifications. And so, so I totally get this. As soon as I started creating parody and content around it, I had people, and the beauty is, half the people didn't get the joke. So half the people jumped on it and were like, oh man, this is just terrible. You're not allowed to comment on this. You're not allowed to say anything like this. And then the other half of people, which were also anti-LDS, anti-Mormon and ex-Mormon crowd, they just started coming after my credentials, which I thought was especially delicious, because that was the whole point of me setting up to become a certified trauma coach, was just to point out, you can do this with 1 hour and $13 and a free weekend. Like, you've got all the certification you need. So a lot of these comments for me end up, they kind of are self-defeating. They're like, man, yeah, hey, good for you. You just wasted your time getting a stupid certificate that doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, okay.
Exactly. ...
Fill in the blank. Thank you. Yeah. Point proven. So, so anyway, fantastic. I totally get where you're coming from with this. So what are you preparing for? Worst case scenario, what's going on here? Do you think she's coming after you? She's coming after the kids? She's coming after the farm in Idaho? What do you think?
Oh my gosh. She is a little insistent. So I don't know. The next move might just be a block. I was like, lady, if you can't calm down and stop harassing the other commenters, you might just lose your privilege of commenting. But we'll see. I'm gonna go with my my gut and think that I think I'll walk away from this one okay. Definitely plan to make more. Definitely plan to keep talking about this subject. So the Karen final boss will not shut me down.
There it is. Hey, look at that. Straight from the fake therapist herself. So let's get into that content real quick. So why have people like you and myself felt the need to create parody content around this? Like, why do we feel this need to create satirical content around these anti and ex-religious therapists?
Well, I think because when you just sit with it and you listen to what they're saying and the conclusions that they're trying to draw from different things, you're like, there's no way people are thinking like that's seriously professional. Like, and so almost because it's so absurd, the only way to counter or to like argue against it is to just be equally absurd. At least that's what I found. It's like I
found that as well.
I could sit and I could pick it apart and I could do really logical arguments, which like I've done a little bit of too, but it's the satire and the comedy is what pulls that truth out of the absurdity, and hopefully is helping people realize, like, why are we like putting up with this? Why are we thinking that this is like ethical? Why are we thinking this is professional? Clearly ChatGPT wrote all of these prompts. I mean, how many times have you heard this is dressed up in this, and this is really compliance dressed up as obedience, dressed up as internalized misogyny? I mean, it's like it's the same script, it's the same playbook, and for some reason, like, we're not, I don't know. I think it's interesting more people haven't talked about it because it is quite an epidemic. Like,
it's startling. Yeah. Like, once you start staring into that black pit, it starts staring back at you and you're like, holy smokes. Like,
it is a bizarre phenomenon.
It's creepy. It's
Yeah.
wild. One of the things that I've noticed is I've started seeing, because I just like you, I started seeing this content pop up in my feed, and my first thought is, like I went to school in business and in finance and stuff like that, and so you take classes on kind of contracts, you take classes on legal language, you take a lot of classes on like licensing and stuff like that, and so you start to realize like, oh man, this is serious. Like you got to be serious about this, and then you see therapists and these ladies, and a lot of times the way they act more like an anti-Mormon influencer dressed up as with the authority of a therapist. And that's the scary piece of this, is like, wait a second, hold on. You had to get licensed, and now you're starting to preach and sound exactly like all these other people that did not have to get licensed. And yet you are hiding behind these credentials so that there are people that are seeing those credentials and seeing your opinions, and they are internalizing that as fact, and that's confusing people, and it's pulling people out of the church that are kind of on the fence. They're like, I don't know about this. And then if they come out and see a therapist saying, well, it actually is very damaging, and it was very traumatic to have to sing the Saturday song before Sundays, because for some people's truth is that Saturday is not the most special day of the week, because for some people Saturday becomes Monday. So Saturday is before Monday or Tuesday, according to their own interpreted truth. And so we need to be respectful of that. And you're just like, what's going on with these people? What is, and so it's crazy when you see it. And so I felt exactly the same. I felt the need to start creating content around this, just to point out, like, this is pretty absurd,
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to do very much editing. You just kind of let them speak. And then if you just let them speak, they kind of fall on their own swords more time than not. They're just like, I don't know. And then they just kind of peter out.
Well, what's interesting is I found that the more I push against it, the more they do expose themselves, because the arguments I think you and I have tried to like bring to attention is this, like, whether you like the church or not is totally like your thing. That's your prerogative. You do not have to like my religion. You can disapprove of everything I believe in. But when you bring it to that professional, authoritative, like, I'm marketing on a therapy social media page with this content, that's where I'm like, okay, major problem, major conflict of interest. And they have such an influence because of that professional authority that, like you say, people actually look to them as trusted sources.
Right.
And then they believe this crap. And it's like, okay, it's one thing for you to be an independent anti-Mormon activist. Fine, I will still argue with you. But it's another thing to do it behind a professional licensing, like a therapist.
Under the guise of therapy. Absolutely. It's disgusting. And half of these people have the word doctor as part of their social handle. So they're trying to legitimize themselves by saying, like, doctor, blah, 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 or they have therapy just interlaced in it, Yeah,
like that. And they're profiting. I mean, like, they are building a business model off of profiting of people listening to this fear mongering with this anti-LDS content and this feminist stuff, where if they create the problem, they create the victim in you, then you need them, then you need to talk to them, then they'll charge you money. And so it's like, I don't know why anyone else isn't seeing the major conflict of interest here. And we should all be saying, whoa, please stop.
No, that's exactly right. It's just like the fox and the cat from Pinocchio. I have a lot of little kids, so I watch a lot of cartoons. Anyway, so what they do is Pinocchio, he's like determined to go to school. He's like, I'm going to be a real boy. I'm going to school. And they're like, no, you need to go to the theater, and they're like, no, don't go to school. And so then they start convincing him that he's sick, sick in the mind. And he's like, no, I'm fine, and then they show him like like they show him some spots. They're like, what do you see? And he's like, spots. And they were like, oh, write that down. He sees spots, you know? And now what do you see? And they spin him around. He's like, I'm dizzy. And he's like, oh, write that down too. He's dizzy. Yes. You need to go to Pleasure Island. That's exactly what you need to do. And it's like, I don't know if those Disney animators knew what they were doing, but they predicted with 100% accuracy what modern therapists are doing today. Like modern anti-Mormon therapists are doing that exact same thing. They're saying like, this is a problem you experienced. Yes, it is. And then all these people are like, oh, I thought I was fine. I thought I was doing the right things. And they're like, no, there's a problem for you. And here's the ticket. And the ticket is always Pleasure Island. It's always divorce your family, leave the church, forget your covenants, and get out of there. You know?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is as I've kind of gotten more into like studying this stuff and looking into how big of a community this therapy community is. I mean, I specifically obviously look at ex-Mormon therapists because it's more relevant to obviously like our niche and things like that, but it's actually something that a lot of people are talking about at a bigger cultural level is just this therapy culture and therapy speak. And
Yes.
so it's actually oozing. I don't know where the source is coming from. I don't know if it's just our modern secular, kind of like progressive culture we live in, but it's coming from many different angles of our society and affecting people in and out of Mormonism for sure.
Absolutely. You know, and I think at the heart of all of this. So here's my prediction. If I were teaching in church right now, I'd flip my tie because this is Doctrine of Hayden kind of stuff. So this is my opinion. I believe that social media is at the root of a lot of what we see going on today. So I think social media has caused pseudo social connections that have been giving people enough of a social hit that they're like, yeah, I'm fine, but it actually is leaving them socially malnourished. So it's kind of like fast food of relationships. And so people have been developing mental health issues because they're not staying connected socially to their communities, to friends, to family members and stuff like that because they have social media, which is creating this big demand for help. And that help a lot of times is coming in the form of therapy. So now people are flocking to therapy. They're like, I need help. And a lot of times, more times than not, from what I've seen, a lot of the specific anti-religious, there are some great therapists out there that are doing yeoman's work. So I want to make sure that we don't lump them into this. But the anti-religious therapists, that flavor, almost uniquely, these guys always come at you saying, you have a problem. Your problem is more times than not, at least in their marketing materials, this is how they position it. More times than not, your problem is the church. And the church has taken away all of your agency, and I have the key to unlocking it. And if you will pay me, I will give you that key. And then they kind of position themselves that way. They grow this huge social following. And then there's a lot of people that end up just self-diagnosing. And they're like, oh, interesting. Yeah, trauma. Tell me more about this trauma from having a stable upbringing. Oh, interesting. And then the therapist is like, oh, only for $99.99, I will coach you or I will be your therapist and I will solve all of your problems. And it's really gross. It's really crazy to see it. But I do believe that social media has been at the root of it all and that the answer is found in developing genuine connections and relationships. The answer is leading back into community. So what these people don't realize is they're actually fighting against the solution that would actually cure these people. So of their mental illness, a lot of people just need good friends. A lot of people need good relationships. The church is a great place where you can develop that. Now, I am probably at the very front of the party that says the church isn't great at that, at least for men right now. I think the women aren't that far behind, but I do believe it can be a place where men can go and find friendship and find connection that can help them get out of their mental health problems. But I'm starting to ramble. Go ahead.
It's funny that you say that it's kind of the anti-religious therapists that are causing a lot of these problems when studies like study after study shows that people who participate in religious activity are better off in almost every metric. It doesn't matter what religion per se, but people who go to church, people who pray, people who pay an honorable tithe are even included in this. Because I think you're talking like you're talking about, it's a community, it's a sense of purpose, it's a sense of belonging. And ultimately, when you have a relationship with God and when you have a relationship with something bigger than you, bigger than any other person that you can have a relationship with, something that's constant, something that is giving you more than you give it, I guess you could say. That's a
Yeah.
sense of security that nothing else provides. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why religion does show those differences in outcome in mental health, in marriage, in all sorts of aspects of life. And so if mental health professionals cared more about actually treating mental health issues and disorders and improving people's lives, not just by trying to validate, like you say, their self-diagnoses, if they actually cared about the things that bring about change in mental health, they would not ignore the studies about religion. They would not ignore the studies about having a relationship with a higher power. But they do,
Right.
because it's not really about mental health. It's actually just it's personal social activism. However, whatever cause they decide to take up, whether it's anti-Mormon, feminist, whatever it is, people get into the mental health industry to push social, like, justice issues, to push activism. And
Right. Right.
that's the part that's really problematic in a field like treating mental health.
Right, right. So there is something that you showed me, a recent study, and I want to kind of dig into this. And I got to take off my glasses because you are making way too much sense for me to keep pretending to be a trauma
That's right.
coach. So I take my glasses off, and so here we go. You were showing me a reel. I'm going to bring it up. And this reel, it talks about a study that was done by Dr. Laura Loftus. No, Elizabeth Loftus.
Yes,
And
Loftus.
and we're going to get into this and talk about some of the potential ramifications that these therapists can have, and when they start spewing a lot of their perspective, a lot of their biases, and a lot of their own opinions and beliefs as fact, and what that can do to the average person who is just self-diagnosing. Maybe they don't have a lot of friends. They're scrolling through social media. They're feeling miserable, and they're like, "Hey, this person's a doctor. Maybe I should listen to them." Well, let's dig into this. This is from an account called The Breath Geek, and it says in 1995, Elizabeth Loftus ran a now famous experiment, Loftus EF Pickrell. So this was in 1995, the formation of false memories. Let's dig in.
What if the trauma you've been healing never even happened? In 1995, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus pulled off one of the most unsettling experiments in psychology. She told participants 3 true stories from their childhood, verified by their family. Then she slipped in a lie, that they got lost in a shopping mall at age 5, panicked, and were rescued by a kind stranger. Here's the wild part. 25% of them remembered it, not vaguely, in vivid, emotional detail. The shops, the sounds, even the face of their rescuer. They weren't faking it. Their bodies reacted like it was real. All because someone they trusted suggested it. And that's why therapy techniques like guided imagery, hypnosis, inner child work, and past life regressions can backfire. When an authority figure says, go deeper, trust what comes up, feel into your body, you might not be remembering. You might be creating. Right now, so much of the mental health conversation assumes we're all carrying deep hidden trauma. But what if part of that is based on false memories, accidentally planted in therapy, amplified by a culture obsessed with unearthing pain? We could be building an entire mental health crisis on stories that were never true in the first place. Follow if you want healing that's grounded in truth, not in playing detective with your past.
Oh. Ooh. And microphone that I would just drop it there. Boom. Look at that. So what he's saying, if I understand this correctly, is that human beings have the capacity to plant fake memories into the lives, the minds of other human beings.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
startling.
Yeah.
And there are 2 ingredients that you need to, in order to do this. So the 2 ingredients, one is repeated exposure. The second ingredient, and this is coming from the study, and maybe we'll link to the study in the description. The second ingredient that you need is a trusted authority figure.
Yep.
So if you have a trusted authority figure and repeated exposure to these false memories, you can over time implant those memories in your brain, and those become your memories at that point. So your body begins to react to those as if they actually happened, which is just mind-boggling. So now let's take this into the world of anti-religious therapists. What do you see from this study as going on in that realm?
Well, it's hard to like say, obviously, for everybody, like this is what's happening to you. But the fact that it's becoming
Right.
such a fad, such a trend to say things like I have religious trauma from XYZ, to me, what I have kind of picked up, and including this study, is a lot of times what happens is you have a differing opinion at some point in your life from the way you were raised, from the religion you were raised in. You decide to
Yep.
go another way. After the fact that you've left, you retroactively create these narratives about how you were treated, what you learned, and people repeat them. I mean, on repeat. I'm like, oh, like people will comment on my stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. That sounds like every other freaking 5,000 ex-Mormons. They're like, well,
Right.
these messages to young women. I grew up with these ones, and I'm like, did you really though? This is the most obscure thing ever. That like, I think it's just that you heard it after the fact that you were mad about something and you've now
Yeah.
adopted it. It's like you've adopted it as part of your life's narrative. And so I don't know. You see it with a bunch of different types of things
Right.
like
Like
that.
purity culture that gets hammered into them. And so they begin to, because they had one Sunday, or maybe they imagine they had one Sunday where there was like the cupcake lesson, that all the young women had, where it's like, hey, take a lick of the cupcake, and do you want it now? No. Yeah. So you shouldn't go have premarital relations. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, all right. So some gals were sitting in there. And that's why I developed an entire series of really banal moments in the church growing up that you probably weren't even paying attention to in the first place. And
Yeah.
then having the Dear Sister music play in the background, like, what you say, like it
Yeah.
was just like this massive earth shattering experience, like
Yeah.
for some people, it was like, oh, I was called to give a prayer and I wasn't expecting it, oh, trauma, and so
Yeah.
they label that trauma, and it
Yeah.
just gets crazier and crazier the more you go down that hole. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
don't
cut
know
you
if,
off. Keep going.
oh no, you're guys. I don't know if you watched the series that Word Radio did on the SRA crazy
Yes.
craze. They kind of talked about the same thing, that it was the people involved in creating those scandals and those crazy controversial moments were a bunch of therapists who were telling
Yes.
kids things. And it's like, we're not gonna like talk more about this. That's insane. And so anyway, I just think acknowledging the fact that people who are in these positions of like professional authority, especially when it has to do with things like mental health, trauma, and this is what's hard, is it's like when you downplay the seriousness of real trauma, of real abuse, of real issues that people actually face from actual evils in the world, you're cheapening them. You're cheapening it, and you're making it
Right.
harder
Right.
for everyone. You're making it harder for everyone to get help that they actually need. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, yeah. So like you are devaluing the experiences of people that actually had a really hard time. They need those words to mean something very specific. And so
Yes.
they don't feel good when they get lumped in line with like a kid who maybe, had a like a bunch of Disney kids essentially. So there are LARPers, Disney kids, and Chuck E. Cheese kids all playing in the same pool as like guys that got their leg blown off in Iraq because they were scanning for
Yeah.
bombs, clearing the way for Task Force Bruiser,
Yeah.
in Ramadi, and
Yeah.
boom, they lost their leg, and now you got some Disney kids out there saying, "Oh, my mom kissed me too much as a kid, and no, I didn't want it."
Yeah.
And the doctors are
Exactly.
treating both of them the same. Like, yes, you both have very traumatic experiences. There's got to be one guy in there, got to be like, I just don't see it. Oh man, yeah, that does sound rough. Oh yeah, here I am just sitting here with
Yeah.
one leg.
So
Oh, that sounds awful, Timmy.
and yeah, well, and so I think these therapists are manufacturing crises for women, and for mostly women, honestly, but also men.
Yeah.
and it's creating this like it's trending. It's like, oh, I was part of a high demand religion, so I have religious trauma too. And it's like that's some kind of like
Yes.
badge, like cool. So does everybody else apparently.
Right. It's the new star-bellied Sneetches from the Dr. Seuss book. You know, it's like, hey, the
Yeah.
cool kids have religious trauma these days. Hey, you
Yeah.
know, it's like when very different times from when you grew up. You know, very very different. Back in the day, you were viewed with respect if you didn't have problems. You know, and now it's like, hey, we're racing to the bottom to see
Yeah.
who is the biggest victim.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
so,
sorry, one
oh, go
more
ahead.
thing. Just here's the other issue I feel like is happening is
Yeah.
these therapists are pathologizing so many aspects of like a conservative religious whatever Mormon upbringing that it's
Yes.
creating this false like it's creating this false idea of what is actually good and bad for people in society. For example, a lot of people like to say, oh, if you were a woman in the church and you were taught that motherhood and marriage were like the most important thing and that was like a disservice to you, like that was harmful to you. And it's like, well, what is the alternative? Like to that message? Like if I grew up believing marriage was important and it was something I should prioritize, what's the
Yes.
flip side? What's the flip side? What are other people being told? Other people are being told that it's pointless, that it's better to have casual sex, that it's better to like goof around, wait to have kids. Well, what about the outcomes of those two messages? The outcomes of valuing marriage and family are going to actually lead you statistically to more happiness and fulfillment in life. And the flip side to that, which is the promiscuity, the delaying the kids, that's actually proving to have worse negative outcomes for people, mental health wise and otherwise. The happiest demographic of women are married women with
Yes.
children. So don't you want to go, huh, interesting that I was raised in a religion that actually values and taught me that. And it's proving to have the better outcomes than the opposite message.
Right, right.
It's things
No,
like
I,
that.
I
I
see
mean,
exactly what you're saying. There's one scripture that this reminds me of. So in the New Testament, this is 2 Timothy 4:3-4. It says, "For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables." So we're talking about therapists being able to create fake memories in the minds of their patients, or not even patients, trusted people.
mhm.
You just need
Yeah.
two ingredients for fake memories. You need repeated exposure and a trusted figure. So let's just scale this out and ask the question that this has been begging the entire time. What happens when you give that person, that therapist, 200,000 subscribers and a daily posting schedule? Like that is what is leading to this mental health crisis. Like it's not going to help it anymore. They are basically creating the clients that they want
Yeah.
and then giving them the solution that they were offering all along. So they're basically creating their own clientele, giving them personalized problems and then
Yeah.
saying, I have the solution for it. Like
Yeah.
that is mind-boggling to me. Just and
It's
that is exactly why we
creating
have these ethics and these laws around licensing in the first place, is exactly to stop these kinds of behaviors from happening. I cut you off. Keep going.
Oh no, you're good. I think this will probably lead into the other thing I sent you, but they're not
Yeah.
only creating like a clientele, they're creating people that share their same worldview. They are they
Yes.
are whatever it is that they're sharing, they are wanting, it's coming from them. It's coming from their personal worldview of how they view this, or they experienced it themselves. And so it's almost like, I mean, I just call it massive projection. These people are
Oh, huge
projecting,
projection.
yes,
Yeah.
these people are projecting their worldview, their conclusions about things onto the public. And then those clients are coming to adopt their worldview, and it's almost like a justification cycle. Like my
Right.
clients
Right.
experienced this, so I'm right. I mean, that's what I see happening. Like my client
Totally.
also felt like she was, you know, demeaned as a woman in the church, and so that means I'm right, and now how I felt is validated. It's like double validation on both sides.
Right. Right. And these are things that we learn about in college. You know, these are things that you learn about, and you're like, hey, there are rules and laws against this. So, and then we're seeing this. We're seeing big breaches in those laws and in these licensing ethics and morality. And you're just like, wait, what? Now, wait just one cotton picking second here. I feel like Foghorn Leghorn, just like, well, man, what's the matter with you? We've got so many problems coming out here with all these therapists, and all they're doing is they are breaking all of these ethics, codes of ethics, left, right, and center. I did a whole series about specific therapists. I won't name names, but let's just say it was pretty scandalous. So for anyone who is a big fan of Recess, you're immediately going to know which therapist I'm talking about. And anyway, so I found a whole series. I did a whole series of posts where she broke codes of ethics, and I would actually find the breach in the ethic and create screenshots and show it on the screen. And she ended up blocking my account, unsurprisingly. But did I feel great? Did I feel like I was doing something to help humanity? Yes, because the post that I created those comments, that series about, they ended up getting taken down. And I was like, look at that. Hey.
Oh, the therapist post got taken down?
They did,
okay.
yes.
Okay. Yep.
They got taken down. So that was fantastic.
Yes.
One for the little guys. Hey.
That is good. Yes, seriously.
Okay, so did you want to, we've got another reel, same guy, the breath geek, who talks about, let's get into that. So let me pull up my screen real quick, and we're going to talk about whose beliefs are influencing whom. So this guy has a message for therapists. It says, what if your therapist's job
wasn't just to help you, but was, without either of you knowing it, to make you think like them? Because the research says that's exactly what's happening. There's a phenomenon in the therapy literature called therapist value convergence. Kelly and Strupp, published in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology, found that over the course of therapy, clients quietly adopt the personal values of their therapist without either party realizing it's happening, even when the therapist is actively trying to stay neutral, even when they believe they are. One researcher, Cheltveit, argued the term convergence was too gentle. He said it should be called conversion, because here's the thing. Only one person's values change, not the therapist, yours. And here's the part that makes you genuinely uncomfortable. When clients started thinking like their therapist, the therapist rated them as getting better, but that improvement didn't show up in objective measures. The therapist's definition of recovery was the client was agreeing with them. Now layer on this, a survey of over 800 mental health professionals found that 68% identify as liberal or very liberal. Just 6% identify as conservative. A separate study found that 37.5% of psychologists admitted they would discriminate against a conservative colleague. So this is the profession that is supposed to hold the room without an agenda, to be free from discrimination. And this is why I think it explains something nobody talks about openly, why relationships, marriages, families so often fracture after one person goes to therapy. They go in sharing a value system with the people they love. They come out with one that no longer matches. And neither of them understands why the conversation suddenly feels impossible. It's not that they've grown apart.
I think that's kind of the gist of it.
I got you. Okay, so boy, while he was talking, I had examples. Anecdotally, I know about three families at this point where the wife, the husband, their marriage was on the rocks. The wife started seeing a therapist. She realized that she was not happy. The therapist told each of these women that your happiness trumps the happiness of your family. And in each case, the wife leaves the husband and the children and goes and travels and pursues a higher education and becomes some kind of like a nurse or some kind of career. And the whole time that they're doing this, they're posting it on social media, and they're trying to heal out loud. They're trying to become a social influencer the entire time. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, at least for me, in my experiences, it seems to be checking out.
Yeah.
If I understand what he's saying, a lot of these therapists are projecting, they keep projecting their own values onto their clients. And that was so shocking to me to hear that they thought that this person got better if they started agreeing with their worldview. that was
Yep.
their metric. I was like,
Yep.
oh yeah, you are doing a lot better these days. Oh, how do you feel about the LGBTQ community? Oh, fantastic. Great. You're
Exactly.
cured. Fantastic. Good.
Exactly. I mean, there's been a discussion about if you leave religion, you're going to replace it with something. Okay. So whether your purpose in life is to serve God, follow the commandments, be a good Mormon, whatever, or if you abandon all that, now your purpose in life is actually social justice and activism. And I swear that's
Right.
what therapists are, because a lot of the anti religious therapists, they've lost their religion. So these things,
Yeah.
these principles, these which are like similar. I mean, it's based in like empathy and being loving and being kind. It's just totally a counterfeit to what's actually loving and kind. And anyway, that's a whole other
Right.
discussion. But they
No,
adopt
no.
those principles and those standards as their cause and their crusade. And so it's like, do you guys not see that, you can dog on Mormonism all you want, but you're just doing the same thing with your own worldview?
Right. Yeah, so it all goes back. It reminds me of an old Spanish proverb. It says, "Tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are." So it comes back to that connection issue. So it goes. There's a great book by Abigail Schreier called Bad Therapy. She basically says that most therapists today, because she was in therapy for a long time, and she just realized at a certain point that her therapists were basically her paid friends. It was basically paying for friendship is all it was. She wasn't getting better. These therapists, they weren't getting her on a track to get out of their offices. They were just saying like, hey, come back, and they would commiserate together. They would talk together. And that was kind of it. And so what I'm hearing from these studies and from what you've showed me here tonight is that if you are surrounding yourself with these kinds of friends, their behaviors, their attitudes, their ideas are going to start becoming your behaviors, attitudes, and ideas. And I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but one of the few things that I've noticed in the anti and ex-Mormon community is a lot of times they will start off right on the heels of like a broken relationship. Sometimes it's their husband, sometimes it's their family, sometimes it's their mother or their father. They come out there and they start saying, "I'm healing out loud," and it gets ugly, it gets weird, and every single time that they start an account, and it goes big. A lot of these accounts go big because they get a ton of that toxic empathy support.
Yeah.
People like, "Oh, this is great! I'm so proud of you. So happy that you're destroying your life and everything that you love. I'm here for it. Hey." And they get that support. And then one thing that I've noticed is that they always thank the original source that got them to that point. And more times than not, those trails lead back to the popular voices that you and I both know in that therapy space. So
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of times it's Dr. John DeLynn, it's Dr. Julie Hanks, it's Ashley B. Therapy. And a lot of times these people, they're pulling people out, they're creating their own cult.
Yes.
They're creating their own followers of people
Yes.
that think, feel, and act the way that they do. And their whole persona is a counter persona. Their whole persona is an angry, bitter persona that is just, I hate the church. That's their
Yes.
whole attitude, belief system is like, whatever the church does, I'm the opposite. That's
And
it.
they're paying them for it too, which I think is
Yes.
ironic, talking about cults and religion and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, that one's pretty on the nose once you mention it. It's like it's a
yeah.
different form of tithing and a different form of priesthood. But
Yeah, well, like I get a lot of people in the comments when I talk about therapy, which it's like, okay, disclaimer. I am not against therapy. I want people who have mental health issues to get help. But the problem is, what kind of help are we getting? And and are our therapists actually interested in mental health, or are they interested in, like I keep saying, these social justice issues or these personal vendetta issues that they want to just project on their clients? I think it was Jordan Peterson that kind of talked about this a little bit. Just when you go see a therapist or a psychologist, the job of the psychologist is to challenge you. The job of the psychologist is to say, so clearly you're not
yes.
thinking correctly. Let's discuss why you're not thinking correctly. And instead of validating, because a lot of this is just, you go to therapy to be validated. Like, well, when I
Yes.
when I left the church, my therapist was the only person that like helped me have my like faith crisis. And it's like, well, why were you going to your therapist to basically be told what you wanted to hear? You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So it's like when we're talking about actual diagnosable mental health issues, your therapist is supposed to be challenging you to change your mode of thinking in that way to heal your mental health, not to give you a new ideology, not like a new political, religious, or any other kind of ideology, but to go to the root of your mental health problem and help you
Right, right.
overcome and cope with that.
No, I totally agree. And a lot of this comes back to there's this really good book. Dr. Peterson, he recommended this. It's called The Myth of Mental Illness. And he's not
Yeah.
saying that mental illness is a myth itself and that people can have mental problems. He the author, Dr. Thomas Saz, what he disagrees with is just the fact that we're using illness, doctor, and patients. He does not like that terminology around it because it precludes behavior
Mhm.
as having an impact on your current mental state. So he likes calling it mental disorders. So he'll call it a
Okay.
mental disorder instead of a mental illness. But the whole idea behind it is like your behaviors are going to have an impact on your overall quote unquote mental health. But if you position it as mental health, that strips out any accountability that you have. And it's just like catching the flu. It's like, oh, I caught
Yeah.
the flu. I
Yeah.
now need a doctor to cure me. Where
True.
it's like, no, perhaps your behaviors are at the root of some of the problems that you're having, and perhaps
Yeah.
if you got your life in order a little bit, you might figure some of these things out and your health happier place. But totally agree with that. So as we're getting close to the hour, one of the final things that I wanted to ask you is if there is a lady out there, let's say she's watching some of these therapists right now, what is your advice to that gal who's like, hey, I'm having a hard time. I'm seeing some of these gals, they're talking about this. It seems to hit home a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure. So what would you say to that gal?
I would say maybe just check what they're saying with someone maybe that doesn't agree. I feel like that's for me a really good way to like find that middle ground. If
Mm,
I hear someone talking about a topic over here, I want to hear someone talk about that same topic over here because a lot of times the truth is made manifest through that comparison. So I would say just
totally.
I would just say we need to keep our minds open. We need to be open to potentiality of professionals being wrong. And like you said, I would focus on finding community and connection with maybe women that are in your same phase of life, maybe have similar struggles, and maybe have come out on the other end in a good way and not just a negative way where they've divorced their whole family and now they're in therapy. Maybe find that girl that like she got over it and now she's great. She's in a better place. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard because we all face insecurities and we all face doubts and there's so many voices. I mean, there's just so many voices on the internet. And for me as a member of the church, my relationship with God is what keeps me grounded. Even like bigger than my relationship with the church, which I do have a great relationship with my religion and my faith and the tenets of my of that in my life, but God is kind of above all of that for me. And so being able
Yeah.
to be grounded in that identity as a daughter of God, as someone with infinite value and worth, it helps me, I feel like, see more clearly and be able to sift through a lot of that messaging that can be very like alluring but slightly false. Like I think the biggest strength of the adversary is being able to convince people with half truths. And so
Right.
having the
Like taking
ability,
away their agency, painting them as a victim kind of thing.
yes,
Yeah.
because it's like it might partially sound like it's true, or maybe it's like a counterfeit to something that is true. But the ability to see through the half lies is
Yes.
something that we all need to cultivate.
An eternal perspective. Look at
Yeah,
that. I love that. My advice to them would be to make some friends. Get
yeah,
out there, get off of social media first and foremost. I think social media has done more damage than good. And so I would
yes.
say get off of social media, put your phone down, go outside and make some friends. Go play, go minister, go make a community happen around you. A lot of times it's not going to happen. It's not going to come into your lap. You have to go put some intentional work and effort and find some people that share your current values, the values that you and your husband share together with your children. Go find people that share those same values. You guys are going to have people that can support you and sustain you through the hard times in life. And that's exactly what you need. And so for that reason, we have created For the Strength of Dads. We have rebranded. It's got a facelift on it. We are making some really cool changes. We are going to try and make it a little bit more goal oriented now, so that the men that come in are not only going to walk away with friends, but they're going to start setting goals. They're going to start finding accountability partners. We're talking with some actual therapists who are not crazy. They're not anti-religious. They're normal guys. They have men that come into their office and leave because they've been diagnosed accurately, and they have resolved those issues. We're going to be having games nights. We talk faith, family, finance, fitness. We're doing in-person events too. So a lot of fun out there. Check that out at strengthofdads.com. That's strengthofdads.com. And until next time, Maddy Packer, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at the Sure Foundation, and TikTok, same thing. I'm on Twitter too, basically the same handle, Sure Foundation. So X, I guess, not Twitter, but
yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I am Hayden Holm, and this is Salty Saints. And for those of you who aren't subscribed, be sure to subscribe, get those notifications so that we can reach more men, find more fathers, and strengthen more communities out there. That is our goal. But until next time, we will see you guys later.